Good afternoon everyone, welcome to this fortnight's instalment of my cross-stitching progress. I'm Rach, or Rara's Realm, and I have been sharing my year of the prolific stitches, I've been calling it. Previous to the 1st of January this year, I was a one project at a time person, and on the 1st of January, over a series of days, I started 8 projects. So, in the last 2 weeks I have been primarily working on 2 projects. I did a little bit of the third one this morning. If this is your first dip into my channel, I have altered my rotation, or rotated my rotation. I quite like that too, melody. I am working on getting 3 projects finished by the end of the year of those 8, but in fact it's only 7 because I'd finished one a few months back. So the other 4 bigger projects I'm not touching now until January, unless what I've got now finishes really early in December. Well, that's not going to happen. So I have got progress on 3 things to show you, a little bit of haul, and one other thing I thought I would just share, because if you've been watching me all along, you will be aware of what I'm going to show you. Just excuse me, it's very glary. It's a beautiful spring day here. I've actually had an hour in the garden and I've got a bit of a headache. I did it at the wrong time of the day, but it was the only time that I really had to do it, to fit in with everything else I needed to do today. So I spent about 40 minutes and then started to feel a bit sick. I'm not heat stroke or anything like that. I'm not sure why, but I've done some. My cat kept lying where I needed to weed, which was like, right, that's enough. So the first thing I have to share with you is my Quaker. I haven't got the pattern out. Let me just get the pattern out. This is a free chart from GGR and possibly somebody else, I'm not sure. It's available in a Facebook group. That's the name of the Facebook group. And even though it's a free chart, there's no need to show you the chart. Noisy, because I have a finish. There is my Quaker. Excuse the bendy side, I stitch in hand and I roll from this side generally. So there is my Quaker all finished, dated 2018. I hope that's from the right way. It is. It's not perfectly centered. I slightly miscounted by 1, but I ain't worried. It's done and it's dated. And I am thrilled to pieces. So this is, I'm fairly certain, a 28 count raw linen, and I have used Gentle Art Sampler Threads Presidential Blue. And I say it like that because everyone in my stitchy group pokes holes in me. So it's a stunner. Absolutely. It looks really good looking at it up there too. So that'll get hung up on the coat hanger in the wardrobe to straighten out, and wait till I win the lottery in order to frame it. I need to photograph it now. Okay, so the next thing, so let me think. So 2 weeks ago I was starting the week working on Little House Needleworks Orchard Valley Quilting Bee. And I have done this quarter, this square, and I think I was just starting here when I showed it to you either 2 weeks ago or when I last stitched on it, I'm not sure. This one, at the moment, I'm a bit dubious about whether I'm going to get it finished by the end of the year, given that I have not even started anything in the bottom yet. We'll see. But now that the Quaker's finished, I'm obviously now only working on 2, so they just go week about. So this is the bit that I was working on last time, so I think I had done a bit of this, so I've filled in the rest of everything there, and I've gone over and I've got the girls' names, excuse all the threads, Ruby and Opal. And then yesterday at Stitching Group, because it was nice and easy to do, I actually brought that down here. So this is the whole piece, and as you can see, I'm not even halfway yet, and I want to be finished by the end of the year, so we will see. We will see. I might have to rotate my rotation one more time. Excuse me. Alright. And I thought for a minute I had a stain on it, but it's yellow thread. Whew. This morning I made a start on what I'm working on this week, which is another Little House Needleworks. This is Farmhouse Christmas. This is part 5. The last time you saw it I had completed up to part 4. So I've only given it an hour or so far today. Depending on how I feel I might do a bit more. This one, I'll just show you where I'm at. I've just done the border for part 5. That's the whole thing so far. I'm judging by the last time I stitched on this. Where have I put the needle? There. It was about a block and a half for 7 days. This I think will be relatively quick, so I'm kind of hoping I can push it to almost 2 blocks by Sunday. We will just see. I'm not going to go silly or anything like that and end up having to undo everything I've done. So the other thing actually in saying a block and 3/4 is I'm actually out for appointments tomorrow and Wednesday, so I don't know how much stitching I'm going to get done before Thursday. But then I'll probably, Friday my mother goes to her social group, so I've got a good 6 hours and I probably will just sit and stitch. Okay, so that's all the stitching I've got now at the moment. So the plan is basically just to rotate. So this week is Farmhouse Christmas, next week will be Orchard Valley Quilting Bee, and I will just chug along like that till the end of the year. And the minute, obviously, Farmhouse finishes, then the whole time will just be Orchard Valley Quilting Bee. So there's outside chance I could get it finished. I worked out on the calendar going by a block and a half on Farmhouse Christmas that it should take me to sort of the beginning of December. If I could swing it by the end of November it would be cool, but that would involve probably a few nights of stitching, and I haven't got the best light for that. Alright, on to some stitchy arrivals. I have got an order in the post currently from 123 Stitch with some 3 charts, the first 3 classic Colourworks threads and the 2018 Just Cross Stitch Ornament Edition. The reason I got the classic Colourworks threads is I got my first instalment from my Thread Club through Mind My Needle. She's offering a couple of variations, and I've gone for 3 of Weeks, 3 of Gentle Arts. What have I got to put behind it here? So these ones, I don't know how well they're going to show up. It's Acorn, Adobe and Amethyst. And the Amethyst has got some really nice coloration on it, variation probably. Yeah, they don't show up brilliantly in this light. So those are the first, whoop, they're actually the first, it's 1, 2 and 4 or something like that. Number 3 I actually already have, it's marked off on my inventory that I have it, so, but maybe it wasn't available when it was ordered, I don't know. And these are the first 3 of the weeks, and again there's an Adobe, there's an Absinthe, can't say those words, and Amber, and that green is a stud, the one that's just fallen. I'm not good at doing this sort of thing. That's a stunner, that green, I absolutely love that. It's a shame there wasn't a little bit more variation in that. I think the only one that really shows some decent variation is the Adobe in this week's. Oh, I don't know, maybe it's just the light. Ignore me, as usual. Okay, so we'll put those away. I'm going to need bigger book rings. If you are a Kiwi watcher of mine and you know where to get decent sized book rings, shove it in the description, in the comments below. I'm going to be in need of them. I haven't looked on Trade Me or anything yet, but I will. And then I have got a couple of patterns. These are PDFs. The first one is part 3 from the Tiny Modernist Santa's House sale. Now I'm just collecting it, I'm not stitching it at this point, but what I have seen is that it's just adorable. If you're on Instagram and you plug in Santa's House, S-A-L I think, you'll probably find it. So part 3 is the kitchen. You've got Mrs. Claus in the kitchen there. So I think this must have come last Monday, so I'll get another part next Monday. And then my next two. If you have been a continuous watcher of mine, thank you. You might want to sit down, put any hot drinks down and not hold anything sharp. I was thoroughly enabled by a Flosstube, and I'm sorry, I don't even know which Flosstube it was. I just heard sale on this website and I went. And I spent several hours perusing because I knew that pretty much 85% of the website I'm not interested in. It's not what I stitch, but I know that there are a few things. So the website I went to was Heaven and Earth Designs, and I got Christmas Town, I think that is, back to front. I'll try and hold it still so you can see. There's actually quite a lot of detail in that, even though it doesn't look like it. Yeah. So that's, of the two, this is my number 2. This is my number 1. Looky at that. That is, I think, without turning it back round again, is Silent Night Lane. And you can see the designer's name there, but just above the image. I absolutely love that. It's my dream to have a white Christmas in small town America. I've had a white Christmas in London, but it's not the same. And I just absolutely love that. So, I am thinking, I think this just gave me a paper cut. Tentatively, it's 450 million pages long and goodness knows how many colours. We're not going to worry about that now. All I've printed off is the DMC thread list and the list that tells you how many skeins of each colour. One of those blues requires 17 skeins. Anyway, I am thinking this might be one of my Stitch Mania starts. With no end date in sight. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I've got to decide. I've still got the 4 big projects that I'm not stitching on at the moment. Do I want 5 big projects with no end in sight for any of them? I don't know. So that's a tentative start. Or I will wait until I finish one of those big projects and then I will start that. So we'll just see. I'll see. I will be making a call on my Stitch Mania list in the middle of April. So again, just as a recap, I'm having a flexible rotation next year. Between January and the end of April, I'm working on the 4 big projects that I've put aside for the time being to get these now 2 Little House Needleworks charts finished. So they will go into my regular rotation and they will get 2 goes per 40 days of rotation. And then in Stitch Mania, my plan is to not go mania, but just stick my toes in the water and have a start every week. I think, I don't have a calendar in front of me, I have a feeling there are actually 5 Mondays in May. I might be wrong, don't quote me on that at all. So I will probably, I'm thinking 4 small to medium, and maybe a small for that 5th Monday. And then in June, my rotation will kick back into gear as per normal until probably about November again. But I quite like what I've done now, which is to really focus on getting some things done. So if I've got some pieces that are in the ballpark close to being finished, I might, again, about November probably rather than October, I will just stop what I'm doing and focus on the ones that need finishing. We'll see, I don't know. So that's pretty much all I've got to share. There'll be some more stash, as I say, next time. It's on its way, it's somewhere in the world. The only other thing I thought I would share for people who have watched before, and occasionally I've shown a few books, I picked up, well, it's 700 plus pages long. So this is from the Seven Sisters series. This is obviously Moon's sister, Lucinda Riley is the author, and this is part 5 of the Seven Sisters series. We shall begin. And I'm holding off reading it because I'm partway through a bodice ripper, which is taking me ages to read. Normally I can read a bodice ripper in a couple of days. It's light and fluffy, and it's you don't need a lot of brain power, and it's just get on and read them. But I'm struggling to get into it, but I'm like, if I don't read it, I'll never read it. So these next couple of nights I will knuckle down and get that finished so that I can make a start on this. And this, generally these books I can read over the course of a weekend pretty much if I don't do much else. So yeah, I want to get this done, and then I've got the one after that that I want to look at. I should have brought it up, but I didn't. Is the third of the Tudor Queens. Alison Ware's 6 Tudor Queens, I think, is the series, and it's the Jane Seymour I'm up to, and I'd like to get that read now too, because that one, the Anne Boleyn one, did take me a bit of a while to get into and to read. So I don't know how well or how easy flowing, for lack of a better phrase, the Jane Seymour book will be. So I want to get on and get that done, because the 4th one, I want to say Anne of Cleves, but I can't remember how they go after Jane Seymour. I know there's Anne of Cleves, Catherine Howard and Catherine Parr. That possibly is the order. I'm sure Catherine Parr is the one that survived. Divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived. And I'm sure Catherine Howard was beheaded. Yeah, anyway, I'm waffling. So, anyway, that was my other purchase this week. That is me done. I don't think there's anything else I need to say. I haven't, I've been watching BookTube a lot, actually. I've suddenly got back into, I haven't been really looking in bookshops for a long time, and I haven't really looked on Amazon for a long time. So when I went to find that book, I was like, this is just a whole new world again. So I'm frantically writing down book recommendations at the moment, and trying to find some booktubers who don't focus primarily on the fantasy mythological world. That the whole Harry Potter, Game of Thrones stuff is not my cup of tea. So I'm working my way through some booktubers at the moment, and just grin with envy. The piles of books and the bookshelves behind them, and one day. Alright, I've waffled for 20 minutes almost. I shall leave you. As I say, 2 Little House Needleworks for me now for the rest of the year. And hopefully we can get at least one of them finished and the other one almost. I hope you have a good fortnight. Stitch everything you want to stitch. Buy everything you want to buy, but remember Christmas is coming. Someone might buy it for you. and I will catch you in a fortnight's time. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.